Welcome to Chapter 1 of Class 11 Biology, the Living World. In this fascinating chapter, we'll explore the incredible diversity of life on Earth and learn how scientists organize and classify all living organisms. Biology is the science of life forms and living processes, and the living world comprises an amazing diversity of organisms. Early humans could easily perceive the difference between inanimate matter and living organisms. In this chapter, we'll explore the amazing diversity of life on Earth, learn how scientists identify, name, and classify organisms, and understand the hierarchical system that organizes all living things. This chapter forms the foundation for understanding biological classification and sets the stage for exploring the plant and animal kingdoms in subsequent chapters. Let's begin with understanding diversity in the living world. If you look around, you'll see a large variety of living organisms, from potted plants and insects to birds, pets, and other animals. There are also many organisms you can't see with your naked eye, but they're all around you. Each different kind of plant, animal or organism represents a species. The number of species known and described ranges between 1.7 to 1.8 million, and this refers to biodiversity, the number and types of organisms present on Earth. As we explore new areas, and even old ones, new organisms are continuously being identified. Life exists in extraordinary habitats: cold mountains, deciduous forests, oceans, freshwater lakes, deserts, and hot springs. The beauty of nature evokes awe and wonder, and ecological interactions make us reflect on what life really is. The question, "What is life?" has two aspects: a technical one that seeks to distinguish living from non-living, and a philosophical one that explores the purpose of life. Now let's explore nomenclature and identification. There are millions of plants and animals in the world, and we know them in our own areas by their local names. These local names vary from place to place, even within a country. This creates confusion when we need to communicate about specific organisms. Hence, there's a need to standardize the naming of living organisms so that a particular organism is known by the same name worldwide. This process is called nomenclature. Nomenclature is only possible when we can correctly describe an organism and know to what organism the name is attached. This is identification. Scientists have established procedures to assign scientific names to each known organism, ensuring each has only one name accepted worldwide. For plants, we use the International Code for Botanical Nomenclature or ICBN, and for animals, we use the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature or ICZN. Let's dive deeper into binomial nomenclature, the two-name system developed by Carolus Linnaeus. Biologists follow universally accepted principles to provide scientific names to known organisms. Each name has two components: the generic name and the specific epithet. This system is called binomial nomenclature, and it's practiced by biologists worldwide. For example, the scientific name of mango is written as Mangifera indica, where Mangifera represents the genus and indica as the specific epithet. The name of the author who first described the species appears after the specific epithet in abbreviated form, like Mangifera indica Linn for Linnaeus. Biological names follow specific rules. They're generally in Latin and written in italics. The first word represents the genus and starts with a capital letter. The second component denotes the specific epithet and starts with a small letter, and when handwritten, both words are separately underlined. These rules ensure consistency in scientific communication worldwide. Now let's understand classification and taxonomy. Since it's nearly impossible to study all living organisms, we need to organize them through classification. Classification groups organisms into convenient categories based on easily observable characters. For example, we easily recognize groups like plants, animals, dogs, or cats. The scientific term for these categories is taxa. Taxa can indicate categories at different levels. Plants form a taxon, wheat is also a taxon, and animals, mammals, and dogs are all taxa at different hierarchical levels. Based on characteristics, all living organisms can be classified into different taxa, and this process is called taxonomy. Modern taxonomic studies consider external and internal structure, cell structure, development process, and ecological information. Characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature are the basic processes of taxonomy. Let's explore systematics, which goes beyond simple classification. Humans have always been interested not only in knowing about different organisms and their diversity but also their relationships. This branch of study is called systematics, derived from the Latin word systema, meaning systematic arrangement. Carolus Linnaeus used Systema Naturae as the title of his publication, which was a monumental work in biological classification. The scope of systematics was later enlarged to include identification, nomenclature, classification, and evolutionary relationships between organisms. Systematics takes into account evolutionary relationships, making it more comprehensive than just classification. Early classifications were based on the uses of organisms for basic needs like food, clothing, and shelter, while the modern approach uses scientific principles considering multiple characteristics and evolutionary history. Now let's understand taxonomic categories and hierarchy. Classification isn't a single-step process but involves a hierarchy where each step represents a rank or category. Each category is called a taxonomic category, and all categories together constitute the taxonomic hierarchy. Each category, referred to as a unit of classification, represents a rank and is termed a taxon. For example, insects represent a group sharing common features like 3 pairs of jointed legs, making them recognizable concrete objects that can be classified. Taxonomic groups are distinct biological entities, not merely morphological aggregates. Taxonomical studies have led to common categories: kingdom, phylum or division for plants, class, order, family, genus, and species. All organisms have species as the lowest category. Let's focus on species, the basic unit of classification. Taxonomic studies consider a group of individual organisms with fundamental similarities as a species. We should be able to distinguish one species from other closely related species based on distinct morphological differences. For example, in Mangifera indica, Solanum tuberosum, and Panthera leo, the words indica, tuberosum, and leo represent specific epithets, while Mangifera, Solanum, and Panthera are genera representing a higher taxon level. Each genus may have one or more specific epithets representing different organisms with morphological similarities. For example, Panthera has another specific epithet called tigris for tigers, and Solanum includes species like Nigrum and Melangina. Human beings belong to the species Sapiens grouped in the genus Homo, giving us the scientific name Homo sapiens. Now let's explore genus and family, the next levels in taxonomic hierarchy. Genus comprises a group of related species with more characters in common compared to species of other genera. Genera are aggregates of closely related species. For example, potato and brinjal are different species but both belong to the genus Solanum. Lion, leopard, and tiger with several common features are all species of the genus Panthera, which differs from genus Felis that includes cats. Family is the next category with a group of related genera having fewer similarities. Plant families are characterized based on both vegetative and reproductive features. For example, Solanum, Petunia, and Datura are placed in family Solanaceae. In animals, Panthera and Felis are placed in family Felidae. Cats and dogs have similarities and differences, so they're separated into families Felidae and Canidae respectively. Let's move to broader categories: order, class, and phylum. Categories like species, genus, and family are based on similar characters, while order and higher categories are identified based on aggregates of characters. Order is the assemblage of families exhibiting a few similar characters, with fewer similarities than genera in a family. For example, plant families Convolvulaceae and Solanaceae are in order polynomials based on floral characters. The animal order Carnivora includes families Felidae and Canidae. Class includes related orders. For example, order Primata with monkeys, gorillas, and gibbons is in class Mammalia along with order Carnivora. Phylum comprises classes with common features. Classes of fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals constitute phylum Chordata based on features like notochord and dorsal hollow neural system. For plants, similar classes are assigned to division. Now let's examine kingdom, the highest taxonomic category. All animals belonging to various phyla are assigned to kingdom Animalia, while all plants from various divisions are in kingdom Plantae. The taxonomic categories from species to kingdom are arranged in ascending order. As we go higher from species to kingdom, the number of common characteristics decreases. Lower taxa have more shared characteristics, while higher categories have greater difficulty determining relationships to other taxa at the same level, making classification more complex. To remember this hierarchy, you can use the mnemonic, King Philip came over for good soup, representing kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species from broadest to most specific. Let's look at practical examples of classification to understand how the hierarchical system works. For humans, we're Homo sapiens in genus Homo, family Hominidae, order Primata, class Mammalia, and phylum Chordata. For houseflies, Musca domestica in genus Musca, family Muscidae, order Diptera, class Insecta, phylum Arthropoda. For mango, Mangifera indica in genus Mangifera, family Anacardiaceae, order Sapindales, class Dicotyledinae, division Angiospermae. For wheat, Triticum aestivum in genus Triticum, family Poaceae, order Poles, class Monocotyledinae, division Angiospermae. Notice how different organisms share higher categories. Both mango and wheat are in division Angiospermae, while humans and houseflies are in different phyla. Let's learn about Ernst Mayr, a prominent evolutionary biologist. Born in 1904 in Germany, Ernst Mayr was called the Darwin of the 20th century, and was one of the 100 greatest scientists of all time. He joined Harvard University in 1953 and retired in 1975. Throughout his 80-year career, his research spanned ornithology, taxonomy, zoogeography, evolution, systematics, and the history and philosophy of biology. He made the origin of species diversity the central question of evolutionary biology and pioneered the currently accepted definition of a biological species. Mayr received biology's Triple Crown: the Balzan Prize in 1983, International Prize for Biology in 1994, and Crafoord Prize in 1999. He died at age 100 in 2004, leaving a tremendous legacy in evolutionary biology. Let's review the key concepts from this chapter. The living world shows amazing diversity with millions of species, making classification essential to organize and study this diversity. Nomenclature provides a standardized naming system worldwide, using binomial nomenclature, the two-name system by Linnaeus with genus and species. Identification involves correct description of organisms and attaching names. Taxonomy is the science of classification based on characteristics, while systematics studies diversity and evolutionary relationships. The taxonomic hierarchy progresses from species to genus, family, order, class, phylum, and kingdom. Species are groups with fundamental similarities and distinct differences. Modern taxonomy uses multiple criteria including molecular and ecological data, building on the work of scientists like Ernst Mayr who contributed significantly to our understanding of biological classification and evolution.